What's up guys, my name's Chronic Heroes here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about the new Nightfall scoring update with the February update where they have high scoring to be able to get higher level emblems, get prestige, to be able to do Nightfalls on higher difficulties, get lots of high scores. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend trying it out, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the kind of nuances like how to get the card, how to get the emblem, what I learned about it, what's the best way, and all the different details and information if you've never heard about it. So to start off with, you have to be able to get your emblem as well as your Nightfall card. To be able to get this Nightfall card, you have to complete the Nightfall, I assume on Prestige difficulty, because the high score stuff only happens on Prestige difficulty. But if you can do it on normal mode, check in the comments down below. Somebody confirm. Pretty sure you have to do it on Prestige because that is the only place you can get the modifiers, or the big modifiers that is. So I can only assume that. Once you complete it on that difficulty, you still will get a high score. However, it will be only with a ×1 bonus. So you have to complete it, get that card. It will appear in your inventory, so it's across all characters at that point, and then you can affect your multiplier by a lot more. So starting off, you can get a 1.5 multiplier by having Extinguish, which makes it so when your team wipes, you go back to orbit, which is you have to have on. You can also affect your power, which will reduce your power or your light score by each point, so you can go a maximum of 40 light levels down to 295 if you are currently at 335, which is the way they affect it and make it more difficult, is basically reducing your power level and making the enemies really hard to kill and one-shot you a lot, as well as the fact you can pick a Singe, which will affect kind of like a burn, make it so your weapons of that type will do more, the enemy's weapons of that type will do more. Personally, we chose Arc with one of each class. You know, have a Smash Titan with Pulse Grenades, you got Warlock, Storm Trance, you got Arc. Basically, there's a whole lot of things you can do and a lot of ways you can do it, and you can affect your score with each one of these handicaps to make it higher, up to a maximum of 3.5 multiplier, but in game it seems like it went to 3.65 for some reason. It went up in game. I'm not too sure why, but it seems like it's a little weird by 0.15. I should also mention that after a certain amount of time, the multiplier gets cut in half and then in a quarter, and then actually gets removed entirely by 14 minutes, which, by the way, this could be very specific to this strike, so don't quote me on this, but by 14 minutes in this strike, it goes in half, 16, I think a quarter, and then 18, it just completely goes to 0. So if you guys are looking for a high score, you have to go as fast as you can, at the same time killing as much as you can, and by the time you reach 18 minutes, that's pretty much going to be the maximum you're going to have your score at. You get through it, finish the boss, and then by the time you finish the boss, you might have like maybe 1,000 or 2,000 down, because over time it goes 6 per tick, 6 points per tick, which is about a second, I think. That'll remove, and by the time you finish the boss, you'll have about this same amount of score. So overall, as you're going along, you get points from killing enemies, you get it for bonuses for melee, headshots, you get bonuses for multi-kills, for bigger enemies, and again, this is kind of like an infinite forest area, so it's random what kind of enemies you get. Sometimes you get better, higher quality enemies to get more points on. I personally seen the Hydras are the best point score, so if you see Hydras, those things will give you a lot of points. You can choose to run past them or kill them, depending on how you want to handle it. I'll make my recommendation later on what you should do, but basically, get kills. If you make orbs, those also give you more points and orb generation points. They're not a lot, but if you do have Masterwork weapons, it'll help get a higher score if you're generating orbs from that, and it does work on that. If you're getting lots of supers and chaining supers off of your teammates, it'll help you get through faster and get you lots of orbs. Those orbs will give you points. So there's a lot of things that the Bungie has always been encouraging us to do that help you get higher scores in this, so make sure you do it. Also, once you finish this the first time on Prestige difficulty, you'll get an emblem drop. This is very specific to this very specific strike and on the Nightfall. So this is going to be the one for this Nightfall, as well as the fact, by the way, this week, Prestige Nightfall, if you complete it, you get the Master Gardener one. For some reason, the Garden World doesn't have the Master Gardener, it's Master Cartographer, but in this one you have the Master Gardener, which is the blue one with the triangle. You can get it for just completing Prestige, as well as the new ones for the new update for Nightfall. You can get the high score one, which will display your high score, as well as the fact that you can actually get the Nightfall Aura equipped onto this emblem if you get 60,000 score in that week, which is the tier 1 upgrade, as well as the fact there's also tier 2 and tier 3, which actually I don't know how high it is, because a friend of ours had an 85,000 score and he didn't get tier 2 yet. It could be that he didn't equip it, but it seems like there's a high threshold for getting tier 3, and it seems like you have to do a significant amount of work, have a really good team to get there. And if you want to be able to change your emblem and see that, all you do is you go to your emblem and you inspect it, and you'll be able to change it just like you change a ghost or a weapon. So in this video, I'm going to be recommending a bunch of different things to be able to get that 60,000 score. Firstly, I recommend putting your power to around like maybe 20 to 25 area. If you're doing this for the first time, start at 10 or 15 handicap. But when you're going for the higher score, I recommend around 20 to 25. You should be able to do it. plenty of time. We did it in 20 with 20 handicap, so 20 levels down. We were able to do it with a plenty amount of points to be able to get 60,000. Obviously, I recommend doing that first to get a feel for the mission as well as the boss. It took us like 7 or 8 tries, a lot of experienced people, so I recommend getting some experienced people, trying on a lower difficulty and then going up. We personally did it with the arc singe on. Obviously, extinguish has to happen. We had a lot of arc weapons. I used Mononon as well as Origin Story. Highly recommend you using scout rifles as much as you can, shooting people from a distance, not dying, because if you consider it, if you die, that's 30 seconds of you dead, not shooting the enemy, or 15 seconds with a friendly revive, making your teammate have to revive you. So make sure you stay safe, stay from a distance, shoot them from range as much as you can, as well as having maybe an auto rifle for the close range engagements. And of course, your heavy can be anything you want. We used Wardcliff Coil because we were going arc. Wardcliff Coil really messes up those enemies, a bunch of legionaries. On Arc Burn, the Legionaries destroy you. I highly recommend you pay attention to those guys because they have arc damage. They will destroy you. Literally one-shot you with their shotgun blast if they're up close. I highly recommend not jumping in through the air. For some reason, when you use your jetpack or you double jump in the air, they can basically track you and hit you guaranteed every time. So just try to sidestep next to them. Maybe let them melee you. However, the melee is pretty powerful. And of course, avoid their frag grenades, the wrist rocket things that they shoot at you as well. There's also the Colossus that has arc damage, who shoots his Gatling gun arc damage as well as his missiles. I would highly recommend you watch out for those guys. Those guys can definitely hurt, but there's not a lot of them. There should only be like one that you have to fight and then 2 more that you can skip past on the Sparrow. There's a Sparrow section that might be a little difficult for you guys. If you're having trouble on the Sparrow section, I highly recommend stopping, killing the Colossus, working together as a team. There's 2 of them, and then moving along. And of course, in the Sparrow section, I recommend going to the right with the lasers because then you can avoid the guys on the ground, which are a lot harder to pass. Other than that, there's not too many more difficult sections. You can run past a bunch of sections. Some sections, like the gate before the exit of the Infinite Forest, you have to kill off a bunch of those guys before you can pass. Right after that, you can run past the Cabal on the ground and to try to jump past the place with a Sparrow. That will activate your Sparrow and allow everyone else to have a Sparrow to Sparrow pass. There's a bunch of different ways to try to get past it faster, but for the most part, you should be killing as many guys as you possibly can with somebody in the lead, always farther away, trying to activate those gates to make it faster. And kill as much as you possibly can. Work together as a team, getting to the boss. By the time you get to the boss, you should pretty much be at 18 minutes where you get 0 score. If you have like 62,000, you should be able to get through and still get plenty of score to be able to get 60,000 with a lot of deaths. Personally, we were like barely surviving, 1 person alive, running around. There's a lot of hard enemies. I recommend saving your supers, your heavies for when the ads come out, because those ads are going to be very difficult. So when you first see the boss, try to kite him around, get some damage on him. First time you see a bunch of ads come out, break out the Warcliffs or the supers and try to get as many of them dead as possible. Make sure you shoot the snipers from the top and then go in on the boss. I believe the ads continually respawn, so you need to put damage on the boss, not just shoot the ads then the boss. Once he gets thrown back to the next section or he retreats, Minotaur is going to spawn with Harpies. Harpies should be pretty easy if you're using Arc because they have Arc shields. You can kite the Minotaur and then shoot him. It shouldn't be that difficult with those guys. Move to the next section, pretty much the same deal. Have the shoot the boss, kill the ads with heavies and supers, which should be able to chain off of each other. I recommend using supers that are really good at killing ads, not attacking the boss, you know, like the Arc Staff, Stormcaller, Smash. However, I would also like to mention the Smash does not one-shot those guys at 20 handicap, so you might have a problem with that. Anything you can do to basically use against ads will be the best. Again, that section should be pretty much the same until you get to the final section. Of course, there are lasers, so watch out for the lasers. The final section is going to be the hardest. It's the most open. The bottom section has a lot of lasers you have to pay attention to and be very careful of, but the bottom sections on the left and the right side are going to be your friend, the best cover you have. So just watch the lasers, be very attentive of the lasers, and of course, do not try to risk life and limb to revive your teammates because they can respawn after 30 seconds. Just try to stay alive at this point. Keep your whole team alive. If the boss jumps down onto the bottom section where you are, jump away from him. Do not let yourself be near the boss. He can one-shot melee you with his smash, which is a huge explosion, as well as knock you off, shoot your minigun. Try to avoid the boss as much as possible. Clear the ads as much as you can, then go on the boss. He should spawn some more ads. Clear the ads again. Keep rotating around the enemy, keeping away. If you are dead, make sure you're giving your heads up to the teammates of where the boss is and when to jump out of the bottom section where the lasers are. Call out the lasers a lot, and again, you should be able to just keep rotating around that section. That is the actual boss mechanic. It seems like we just one-shot the boss these days so much that we forgot how the mechanics work. I don't believe too many snipers spawn, although there might be some scions you have to watch out for and do shoot. But I wouldn't worry too much about them because they are doing solo damage. They should not one-shot you. And for the most part, this is going to be the hardest part, is the last section with the boss running around with you, but you can kite him, make him jump back and forth from the upper ground to the lower ground, and be able to kind of exploit his inability to attack you while he's going back and forth. But again, you're going to have problems with the lasers if you keep jumping around. You have to be very aware of your surroundings. Anyways, that's pretty much it. There's not much more to it. You just got to practice. Again, I highly recommend you practice that boss section on the lower power level. Try to get that kiting done, because we were just trying to do it at a higher difficulty and it is just very difficult. The higher scores, probably the higher tiers, you have to do maybe like a 30 handicap. Doing it at 40 handicap really just doesn't seem to be much benefit, because you're going to be so slow trying to get through these enemies. You're not going to get a lot of points. You have to have a very good team, a very knowledgeable team to be able to get through this at higher difficulties. Hopefully sometime in the future I can make a video about doing a 40 handicap and getting through the mission with a high score, but we'll have to wait and see. And as a final note, I might actually just let the rest of the gameplay play out. This was actually 2 parts, 2 different missions, but I'll try to let it play out as much as possible to show you guys what I did, what we did as a team. If you're still looking to see exactly what we did, that's why this video is so long. I just wanted to show you guys my entire Nightfall in case you wanted to see certain parts. And I gotta say, we did get lucky at a lot of them, so take them with a grain of salt, you know. And of course, let me know if you guys want to see these videos every week to see the best way to get a high score in this mission and whatnot and all that. But anyways, that's the video for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's been Nightchronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
acquire the artistry.